Oh my god. It's Longlegs!
Ah! Oh my god, you're a monster! Come back!
What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Longlegs. Are you terrified? In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. This film is rated R. It is described by many as a psychological horror movie, a crime thriller as well. And so a lot of elements going into this, but early marketing as well as early word of mouth indicated to me via Twitter and or X that this is the scariest movie of the year. It's the horror film of the decade in terms of scares. And so I think people are going to see that, and their anticipation level is going to be skyrocketed because they're expecting the scariest movie of all time. Now, I've seen that. I've also seen Silence of the Lambs, Zodiac, David Fincher comparisons. Those make a lot more sense. That's kind of where this movie tries to go. But it also leans into the satanic side of things, an ungrounded element to a grounded movie, one that we've seen countless examples of. And I don't think Longlegs is changing the genre, but it is adding a very interesting mystery that we're trying to solve, along with our main character in Maika Monroe. And we'll get into the characters here in just a second. I have a lot to say about Nicolas Cage, but I went on Twitter after this was over and essentially said, it's not scary. It's not the scariest movie of the decade like early reactions said it was going to be, and I'm saying that mostly for more casual audience members because we know, us, you guys watching probably, we go see a lot of movies. We know not to get our expectations too high and outlandish based on early reactions, but a lot of others that see 2 to 3 movies a year don't do that. They may put a lot of stock into this and see it expecting one thing, but walk out of the movie having experienced another. And so that's why I'm saying this. I don't want my friend Billy to say, hey, I'm going to go see the scariest movie of the year when it's not that. And it's not that type of scary because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for jump scares. They're looking for crazy imagery. You get a little bit of that. Maybe a jump scare or two in here, but this is the slow-moving, unnerving type of horror that gets under your skin, but doesn't necessarily scare you. At least it didn't me. It will frighten you in a different way, and you may feel fear from that, and a lot of people have. They've told me. I didn't, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the product that we got because I love this genre. Not horror, the serial killer thriller. That's the genre I love. And the fact that we're getting that here with a demonic twist is so freaking cool, man. And I was excited once the movie started to know that that's what I was in for. And that's exactly what I got. I got one that isn't restructuring the genre, but it's doing just enough to stand out in the genre. And as someone who has seen Oz Perkins movies before and just fallen in love with his style and craft, the visuals on display, I think of Gretel and Hansel, and visually stunning. My wife and I were talking about how beautiful that movie looked. I just didn't connect to the characters. So style over substance, that's kind of what I have come to expect. But I know he's capable of something more. And I do believe Longlegs at this point in his career is his magnum opus, and it is something more. There is substance with this style and a compelling story revolving around a character, one that maybe inevitably becomes more of a character study than a horror, more of a character study than a crime thriller. By the end of the movie, she is who it revolves around, and Maika Monroe is giving a great performance. Now, she's playing a character that you feel at arm's length in the beginning, but the movie does a good job of explaining why she is the way she is, and she acts the way she acts. I'm like, all right, it's a little quirky at the beginning. Something's off. Something's weird.
You're really weird.
But you slowly realize why she is the way that she is, and they do a great job of explaining that and tying a lot of things into the third act. Now, I'm going to have to tiptoe a lot around spoilers in this review. We will do spoilers on the Movie Mode podcast, and trust me, it'll be fun to hear me try to convince Ryan to like this movie. But overall, I just think there's so much that ties in so beautifully that makes her character far more interesting by the end of the movie. She's also given me like Jodie Foster, Holly Hunter vibes in this film, which I really like, and even her accent was very Holly Hunter-esque at points. I'm like, it's Holly Hunter, just younger. She's across from Nicolas Cage. Hey, Nicolas Cage is in this film. If you didn't know, it's on IMDb. They list him as Longlegs, so not a spoiler. It's also in the trailer.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
If you avoided the trailer, why are you watching a review? Wouldn't you just avoid everything, huh? Also, has Blair Underwood ever aged? I don't think this man has aged. He looks phenomenal, by the way. Does a really nice job. His character is much more key than I expected at the beginning of the movie. But Nicolas Cage is doing his Cage-isms all throughout this film. A little overboard at points, but doing it in such an unnerving and just creepy way, man. It brings out exactly what Oz Perkins requires from us, but also the best of Nicolas Cage. I mean, I love it when he plays in a serious movie, but he's still doing some of his Cage-isms that I like. At the same time, I appreciate the fact that he's trying to do some different types of movies as an actor, and he's always experimenting. He did Pig recently, some lower budgeted movies, even like Mom and Dad I had some fun with, but this is great. This is that serial killer crazy vibe that I want from Nicolas Cage. And yeah, when we start to lean heavily into the satanic side of this movie, and that's where the horror aspect comes in, right? It starts out as a procedural serial killer type of movie and then starts to turn into a character study, but it also starts to lean heavily into Satan and becomes a little bit of a Conjuring type of thing where that becomes an integral part of the story, and all of that comes full throttle in the third act, where admittedly we get two sequences in the third act that are imperative to our understanding, so I don't know how else they would have went about it, to be honest, but they are exposition heavy. And my podcast co-host Ryan said those exposition-filled moments kind of took him out of the movie, and he wishes they would have went about it in a different way. And part of me understands that, but sometimes exposition is almost necessary when it's not spoon-feeding the audience, of course. But I like the fact that this movie doesn't leave things open-ended. Maybe the main ending, there's some things that you could bring about from that. I think of other more ambiguous horror movies that just leave plot points open like, anything can happen. What did that mean? Why was this there? Is she dead? I don't know. And maybe there's like one of those questions in this movie, but not several. There aren't several open-ended things in this film. Oz Perkins does a nice job of establishing things in the beginning, giving you elements and moments and scenes in the first act to where you gotta be paying attention to them. They come full circle. That's because this, and this, and then it all ties together. What a movie like this should do, it does do. Is it on the level of a Zodiac or a Seven or insert David Fincher movie here? Not necessarily. Also, I got the look and feel of some David Fincher movies, of some Denis Villeneuve movies, of heck, a little bit of Robert Eggers in here at times. And yeah, Oz Perkins, absolutely, but the cinematographer as well. I believe somebody said this was his first feature film. Are you kidding me? The first, there's no way. I gotta fact check that. That's crazy.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Visually, it's magnificent. I love the cinematography, the aspect ratio, the way it shifts and changes going from past to present. Telling the story in that way, absolutely, but also utilizing that style that Oz Perkins does so well, but then implementing an impressive story. And even by the end, while Maika Monroe was incredible as our lead, I still felt like I wasn't fully in with her mentality, and I wasn't as connected with her as I needed to be. And there are some things regarding her family life. We visit her mother in the movie, and I do wish we had more time to flesh that out. And the third act as a whole, if I have one major story criticism with this film, is they do wrap it up pretty quick. They wrap it up in about 10 to 15 minutes, and we are building to that, and we get pretty much all the payoff that we need, but we get it fast, we get it quick, and maybe this movie could have benefited from 10 to 15 more minutes, whether you're spending it building that up more, maybe giving us some more of the crime element, interviewing some people that knew about this happening. We get a lot of deaths in this movie off screen, and people are being killed left and right, and they mention that, but we only really ever visit one or two of those moments, and and locations. It becomes way more about Maika Monroe's character by the end, which is really entertaining, but overall, is that enough for people to walk out satisfied? I don't know, especially if you thought this was going to be the scariest movie of the year. And people can say all day, you got to keep your expectations in check. I try to do that as a critic, but a casual general audience member, why would I expect them to do that? Why would I ever expect them not to get hyped about a movie? That's silly. That's a silly thing to say. And if you say that and you think that they are going to do that, you're lying to yourself, because they will not.
Liar!
Before I score this puppy, dropping that like is the best way to let me know you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think down below, man. I'm so excited to see these comments and excited to see what we do on this weekend's Movie Mode podcast, where we're going to be diving deep into Longlegs spoilers, baby. And let me know, who has the longest legs? That's a general question. Who has the longest legs? I also just want to know who made it to this point in the video. So who has the longest legs? Just say names. No context. Just say names. The standout in Longlegs is the atmosphere. Oz Perkins has some fun with the look and feel of it all. There's a consistent feeling of angst throughout, and it delivers an interesting and twisted crime thriller. While it leans heavily into its satanic side, this is not in the conversation for scariest film of the year. It evokes a feeling of dread, but never taps into what many will hope for. There's a lot to like with what it actually offers, especially if you enjoy a good serial killer-centric thriller. It's a lot of words to say. I was getting a little tongue-tied there, but that's how I feel about Longlegs, folks. Not the movie I expected, but what I got was atmospheric. I enjoyed the aesthetic, and it's the type of movie that I just think has the right runtime, man. 90 to 100 minutes, baby, for something like this. Perfect. Could have used more, I guess, but hey, in and out, packed theater. Love seeing that for a horror movie. I hope it does awesome opening weekend. Congratulations, Neon and Oz Perkins. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in my review for Fly Me to the Moon. We'll sing the song.